Guys, so I saw this mathematician making videos on the New York state test, and so this is one that's been released. And so this they allow you to be able to review it and use it. And even though I teach in Mississippi this stuff, and even though this is in 2019, I was just looking over it, and I was just um, looking at how relevant it really is. So let's just dive right into this. And these are how the textbooks used to look back when I was a kid. It used to be a booklet just like this. And similar for the Mississippi map test. Get my marker or pen, whatever that is. For fourth grade map, you will also be allowed to use, we don't really use a ruler, but if they need one, you'll see one in the question. But they do have this tool that I don't want you to forget. You will be able to use a protractor, and that's the thing that looks like a D that's turned sideways, and it looks like this, and you measure angles with it. So to dive right in, this right here is, I know I've seen questions like this. And this right here says Tatum walks her dog 2/3 of a mile every day. After school, how many miles does she walk? So this is dealing with multiplying a fraction as 4.NF.4. Now, anytime you see a fraction and a whole number, they're not shaking hands, they're not dancing. The only thing they're going to do is multiply with each other. And remember, it's kind of like rewriting it with a whole number with a denominator of 1. But also you can just realize that the denominator will always stay the same. And so 2 times 5 is 10. Now I can easily eliminate D and C because I see the denominator is different. And since we're multiplying, 2 times 5 is 10. They tried to trick you with this one. This is the tricky question because they said, oh, yep, this will get them. Because they know, okay, maybe you'll realize your denominator is the same, but it's not 5 plus 2. It's going to be 5 times 2, which is 10. And here it says the number of points Jaden scored in the game is less than 45 and also is a multiple. See, this is our key word right here. Multiple. Here are keys. We're seeing this fraction and whole number. Here, I know the multiple is 7, and that's going to be the standard 4.08.4, which talks about prime and composite numbers. It also talks about factors and multiples. And so in this case, all you need is your dump your brain, and I'm just going to write 714 because another key word that it has is that it is less than 45. So I don't have to go all the way to 70 or 84. I know these are more. 17 is actually prime, and it's definitely not a multiple of 7. So now here, which comparison is true? You can use your dump your brain, or you can make them have the same denominators. So like for example here, 2/3 and 8/12 to make them have the same. You can use 12 over, not 12, yeah. You can keep this the same, 1 over 1, to keep 12 as the denominator. But here we would have to multiply it by 4 over 4 to make the denominator equal 12. And so then you would be able to compare 8/12 to 8/12, and those are exactly the same. Now I'll show you a shortcut way as well. 3 times 8 is 24. Yep, cross multiply. So as you can see, I don't want to cover up the symbol though. Anyway, 72. So as you can see clearly, this actually was true, and we need it to be true. This is equal. These are not equal. All right, now this one, we will. Oh, and let me go ahead and put the standard here as well. This is going to be 4 point, I believe, NF.2, which talks about comparing fractions. Here, it's going to be a multi-step word problem, so I would recommend using this, saving this to the end. But let's dive right in. It says there are 3 sections. So we have the red section, we have the blue section, and then we have the green. They tell us clearly the red section has 200 people, but here the blue section has fewer than the red, which means it's going to be 200 minus 20, which is actually equal to 180. And then they say the green section has 2 times as many as the blue, so whatever the blue had, which is 180 times 2, and 8 times 2 is 36. 18 times 2 is 36, and I stick my 0 at the end. And if you didn't know it by heart, you can just do this. 16 carry 1. 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So 36 will be your answer, and you just stick that 0 at the end for that 180. But here's the thing. Do not get tricked. They said, what is the total number of people? So they're not asking for a specific color. So now that we found it all, we can just add it all up. And so we're going to add up. And I could just... Alright, so that's 0, 6 plus 8 is 14, carry the 1. So 2 plus 1 is going to be 3, plus 3 makes 6, plus 1 makes 7. So the whole thing is equal to 740. Here, and look how the keywords really just tell you what to do. If you know your keywords, you will definitely get a level 4 or 5. Example, line segment. All you need to do is see which one's a line segment. Now, this is an angle, so this is obviously wrong. This is a ray because it has only 1 arrow. A line has 2 arrows, and a line segment will have no arrows, but just 2 endpoints, a beginning and an end. Alright, so it says which fraction has an area equivalent. So since we see, and let me make sure I didn't skip anything. I want this is, I think, 4.G.1. Alright. Which talks about points, lines, rays, stuff like that. So which fraction models are equivalent? That's an equivalent fraction, 4.NF.1. You can use your dump your brain. Or what you could do, you could say, okay, I see all these different fraction models here, but I can look and I say, what can I use to simplify this? Now, if I were to make it the smallest, because apparently these are probably going to be smaller, you can shrink it and say 312 divided by, they both have 3 in common. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 can also be divided by 3, which is going to be 4. Now, I got 1/4 as my smallest fraction. This has 1, 2, 3, so it's wrong. This is not 4, so that's still wrong. This is not 4, and this is 1/4 exactly. Here's a Moss and a Minos question. And I think this is for, point MD, point 7, which talks about adding and subtracting to find missing angles. Here, with Moss Minos, meaning minus, the something's missing here, which means I'm going to have to do the inverse to find it. And now, by default, look at my ones place. I have a 2. Look at the ones place of all the other answer choices. I've already found my answer simply because of my ones place, but I'm going to keep working it out. The answer is 72. This is multiplication. You can use the area model or standard algorithm. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 1 times 7 is 7 plus 4 makes 11. Carry the 1. That's going to be 56 plus 1 makes 57. And so look again at that. Yep. The 1 and the 10s. I can look and clearly I'm supposed to have a 12 like these. These two are automatically wrong. 1 times 7. No, 8 times 7. Yeah, I think I just did that one. All right, so now 2 times... Yep, hold up. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 5 makes 19. And also that 7 could have also gave it away. What's the quotient? Now, you can use long division or you can use area model division. So I'm going to use area model division. When I do long division, how many times can 4 fit into 23? And you should use your dump your brain, but I don't have one on here. Now I can just go ahead and use, and I can see clearly 4 can get close with 20, and that means I gotta do 4 times 5. I subtract, it's a 3, 1, bring it down. How close can 4 get to 31? I can't use 32, so I have to use 28. And that's like saying 11 minus 8. That's gonna be 3. The 4, bring it down. Now, I can't use 36, but I can use 32. And so here, all right, 32, subtract. And I will have 2 left over. Now I will show you the area model way as well. So like I said, you can subtract and pull multiples out. I know 4 could get in there at least 20 times, and I just stick those 2 zeros at the end. So 2,000 is my first multiple. Now I have 314 left. Well, I know 28 can fit in pretty good. So I'm going to write 280 there because you have to fill in the extra 0. Make that 11, make that 2. So then I end up with 34. Now I know 32 can fit in there. So I have 32, and I have a remainder too. So 2 can fit into 25 times, and I stick those 2 zeros at the end. 4 can fit into 4 times 7. It's 28, and I stick that extra 0 at the end. 4 times 8, and I have a remainder of 2. So it's going to be 578 with a remainder of 2. Alright, now this one is one that's they're going to use to make you think, but we can use this one. They said 5, okay. And they want to know the closest total. So we're adding, we're rounding, and we're also multiplying as well because I see the words each. So the first box has 360 times 5. The second box has 32, and it has 6 boxes of that. Now, I can go ahead and just round. This is already rounded, but I could round this up to 200 because it is closer to 200. And then I just add up, and I end up getting 380. Which two numbers both round to 1,500. I'm going to round it to the nearest hundred, so I'm only looking at the hundreds place. And the tens place because that will dictate of what I do. Now, I already know that 3 cannot jump up to a 5. And this would definitely go to a 16. This can't because of that 4, so that would end up being 1400. Now, that 5 will make that turn to 1. Yep. So this will actually round the way I need to. Here, this part will, but that will round up as well to being right here. Okay, it says Mr. Fuller wants to put a fencing around. That's the key word. Because around means perimeter. And I see another word, rectangular. So I'm using my keywords, and that tells me what I need to do. We already know our formula for perimeters. P equals to L plus 2W. So let me reread it. Mr. Fuller wants to put fencing around his rectangular shaped yard. The width of the yard is 55 feet. The length is 75 feet. How many feet of fencing does Mr. Fuller need? Well, we already know we're multiplying by 5. Not 5, 2. Because 2 times the length was 2 times the width. So 7, 14 plus 1 is 50. 55 times 2 is going to be 10, carry 1. It's also 10 plus 1. Now I just add that up. So I'm going to add up 150 plus 110. These are way too big anyway. Here, and I guess in New York and Mississippi, they would make you simplify it to a mixed number as well, so I'll show that. But it says, what is the sum, which is the key word, of the fractions? Now, just by looking, I can get my denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they all have 6, but I see this has 3 6 shaded plus 2 6 plus 5 6. And I already know it's going to be 5 over 6 plus 5 over 6. The denominator still stays the same. So even though it's a weird question, you could have looked and said, oh, well, you know what? Denominator, nope. So looking at the denominators, only this had the answer. Now, if you were to turn that to a mixed number, 6 could fit into 10 one time. And 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 minus 10 is going to be 4. The denominator stays the same. Here we go. Lines of symmetry. Oh, and let me write the standard. That's with adding and subtracting fractions. Here, lines of symmetry is 4.G.3. And this is 4.MD.3, 4.NBT.3. So you can also look these up and see. It says what is. So I could draw here. Now I can't split it diagonally because it won't work. But I can see at least 2 lines of symmetry. Alright, so this one is meant to trick you. What is the measure in degrees of an angle that is equivalent to 1 and 360 of a circle? So when you see the word of, that also means multiplied. Now, it's 360 times circle. And you might say, well, what is that? Well, circle has how many degrees? Right, 360. So really you're just doing 360. And anytime you see a fraction and a whole number, they multiply. Now our denominator is going to stay the same. So it's really going to be a whole fraction of 360 divided by 360, which is equal to 1. Now here we say 6 times 4 is equal to 24. Now remember, is means equal to, and times as many means multiply. Now this is part 2. All right, so this is still 4.NF.4, which talks about multiplying fractions and whole numbers. Now, what they want to say is this is really repeated addition. And if our fraction is 1/3, we need to make sure our denominator is 3. So this has 1, 2, 3, but this has 4. So where our denominator is not 1/4 as shown in these, it's going to be 1/3. Now another thing is multiply by 4, which means you're going to see 4 sets of it, not 3. This is saying 3 times 1/3 because I only see 1, 2, 3. And so this is exactly what we need. Here it says the height of the truck is 6 feet. The height of the tree is 3 times that. What equation can be used? And that's just 6 times 3. Here, what expression? And apparently, just by looking at this, they want expanded form. And expanded form is going to be so this is wrong. This is wrong. And then the last step of an area model, it's not subtracting at all. You're going to be adding it. So we could have easily eliminated B and C, but this is the only one that's expanded form lines as well. All right, which statement is true about an object turning 90 degrees around in a circle? So a circle again is 360 degrees. So out of this, they want us to make a fraction, really. That's what they want. So we know degrees, and the total is the circle, which is 360. Now, if I look, I can add like these 2 zeros, don't matter. So I'm really worried about 9 and 36. If I were to simplify it, I can both divide them by 90 because you can divide 9 by 9. We just need to stick those zeros at the end. Now 90 divided by 90 is going to be 1, and 36 divided by 9 is going to be 4. And again, those zeros, we can cancel that out because they both have a 0. So here we end up simplifying it all the way down to 1/4. This one 8 times as many 4, so we just need 4. We need 8. They are not going to equal 4, they're going to equal 8. And we're not using 2 times 2. How many degrees? This, you'll have a protractor that they will allow you to use. So I'm going to skip that one. Which fraction model is shaded to the equivalent? So here I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 2/5. All right, so, and it has to be equal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it has a 5, I can go ahead and cross that out because I already know it has to be equal. And the denominator is already the same, so we don't have to wonder about these. But let's see, we need 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if we're going to make those 10, we're going to multiply by whole. Remember, multiply by whole fraction, whole fraction, whole fraction. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. And so we don't need 2 tenths. We actually need 4 tenths. And again, you can use your dump your brain and just put your finger on 2 and 5 and drag your finger to see which matches. Alright, so look at this here. Measure each line segment. Which plot correctly shows the lengths? For here, I believe you're going to have to use a ruler, and in Mississippi State test, we don't have to worry about that. So that I am very glad about. So we're going to skip that one. Here, Tom has the same size candy bar. He eats 2 times the amount Jill ate. What fraction does he eat? So apparently Jill ate one, because they said this is what Jill ate. She ate 3/8, and he ate 2 times that amount. So he ended up eating 6/8, because remember the denominator stays the same, so you're just using your numerators. Alright, we got a wait, let's see. Use each digit shown below to create a 5-digit number with the greatest value. 5 each digit use once, then write a number sentence. I'm going to skip this one because we don't really worry about that in Mississippi as well. So there's slight differences. But for the most part, most of these questions are very similar. Okay, I like this one. Identify the 2 lines. Alright, that are perpendicular to each other. So perpendicular means it's going to form a sharp point or a right angle. So I can see E and F are perpendicular. A and B and C and D. Identify 2, and there are 2 sets of perpendicular. We got this set right here, and we got this set right here. So I see line. I can just do this line A and B, and line E and F. Also, I can use line C and D and line E and F. And the reason is they form 90-degree, also known as right angles. Now in the state test, you'll just have to choose which set is perpendicular. Now line AB and line C and D are both parallel. But they ask for perpendicular, which is our key word, and this is our standard. Let's see here. Mick and Jackie buy a large sandwich to share. So I'm just going to draw a little sandwich here. Give it some life. Alright, so out of this sandwich, they each ate something here. And I see a fraction. Right? We see they each ate that. How much of the sandwich is remaining? Now, since my denominator is 5, I can take a wild guess and figure out the whole is going to be 5/5. So that's our captain. So that's how much of this sandwich. It started out as a nice, delicious whole sandwich of Ben himself, 5/5. Now, when I look at this, they both ate some. Mick ate 2/5. Let me make this smaller again. Mick ate 2/5, and also Jackie ate 2/5. Now, we already know 2/5 plus 2/5 is going to equal 4/5, and they said how much is remaining. So after they both ate that chunk, how much did they have left? And this is what you have to do. This is a 4.NF.3 question. How does the value of the digit 3 in the number 6,000, compared to the value? Okay, so we're comparing values here. And we know how to do that. And we're only looking at the digit 3. Alright, so like I always tell my students, step 1, look for the biggest value. This red's too dark. and stack it. So I see the first one, 3, is bigger because it's in the thousands place. And little brother 3 is in the hundreds place. So how many jumps? That's just 10 times greater. Also, you know that 3 is equal to 3,000 divided by 300, which is still also going to equal 10. So basically, it's the same as saying 3,000 divided by 300. And again, like I said, get those zeros out. And 30 divided by 3 is 10. So, not much to explain there. It's a really easy question. It says, Peter wants to replace all the floor tiles in her kitchen. Mrs. Peterson. The kitchen floor is 12 feet long and 7 feet wide. If Mrs. Peterson already has 45 square tiles, how many more? Okay. Okay, so here we're doing length and width. One thing I can see is she's trying to cover up everything inside the kitchen floor, like the whole room. That sounds more like area equals length times width kind of thing. So I already know 12 times 7 is going to be 84. And they said she already put 45 of them down. How much does she still need to cover the whole floor? So she needs 39 more tiles left. That was a tricky one too. In Mississippi, they usually don't make you do questions like this. It's usually an answer choice or more hints. But again, you still have to know the area, length times width, and stuff like that. Let's see here. The height of a mountain P is 1,086 feet. The height of mountain Q is 4 times as much as mountain P. The area model shown represents one way to find the height. Okay, so they know since the answer we need. Alright, so I know what to do. This is an area model for multiplication since the answer is bigger. So what they did here, step 1 is to break it up into expanded form. And we're going to put 1,086. So that's the expanded form. And we're multiplying by 4. So A is going to be 4,000 because 4 times 1,000. B should have 80. And then 8 times 4 is 30, 32. And you stick that 0 at the end. And 4 times 6 is going to be 24. So yeah. And the total height of that is, last step is always adding in an area model. Four 4,104 feet. So it looks like we're done here. Please take the time to watch. I know this video is lengthy, but if you spent like 12 minutes a day watching this, you can watch it in 3 days basically. Anyways, I hope this helps. Please check it out, and thank you. Please message me if you have any more questions or concerns.